Hi everybody, this is Dave Vellante, Day 3, VMworld 2012. We're here live at the Moscone Center. We're at Moscone North, in the North Hall, right across where the keynotes are, and I'm here with my colleague Stu Miniman. We're both with wikibon.org. And as I say, today is Day 3. Stu, we've been seeing the emergence of the software-defined data center. We've seen this term evolve from the software mainframe to the cloud OS, now it's a software-defined data center. And it seems to have some substance to it. I mean, we're seeing it trickle down into storage. The storage companies are talking about software-defined storage. All the networking guys are talking about software-defined networking, which is a term that's been bandied about now. So that seems to be the new term that VMware and the ecosystem is putting forth. I think it fits fairly well into what John Furrier and I have been talking about, and Stu as well, as the data infrastructure. David Floyer calls it the data-led infrastructure. And we're talking about the capability to bring together new types of applications, analytical, big data applications, feeding, transactional applications in near real time, and driving new levels of business productivity, moving beyond just the focus on doing more with less, the operational efficiency, which we've been attacking for the last 5 years, into more business value, major impacts on business productivity. We're forecasting a new wave of innovation at the application level to really drive business productivity. And at the heart of it, Stu, is what VMware is calling the software-defined data center.
Yeah, Dave, it's been amazing to watch. Remember 2 years ago, the first time we brought theCUBE to VMworld, we talked about how many dollars, for every dollar that VMware sells, there was $15 for the ecosystem. That's gone at well over $20. And the conversations change. While the ecosystem is very important, it's about VMware kind of leading the whole ecosystem into this next phase of, as you said, software-defined data center, really trying to have that software-led solution where VMware owns a lot of pieces of the stack and still has to kind of leverage with partners on what's going on.
Well, Stu, it's a good point. I'm struck by the way in which Paul Maritz introduced Pat Gelsinger, the new CEO, incoming CEO of VMware, to the crowd, to the audience on Monday. He said, I'm handing over the custodianship of the VMware community to Pat Gelsinger. He didn't say, as the new CEO. He said, I'm handing over the custodianship. It's more than just being the CEO of a really hot company. There's more responsibility there, and Pat Gelsinger talked about that. He's just a little intimidating, really. He's got the weight of the community on his shoulders.
Yeah, no, Dave, an interesting point. I kind of joked coming into this week, I said, VMware loves their partners. They're so tasty, because they're going to eat the value of the ecosystem. But why is Pat perfect for this role is because if you look at what Intel did in the marketplace, sure there was functionality that moved into the hardware, but critical that they were the platform that the entire industry could build on, and as feature functionality worked in, they did that closely with their partners, and built lots of value, made better solutions for customers, and move the market forward. And VMware needs to do the same thing, still keeping, not losing its partnership focus. Otherwise, there are alternatives. The open space guys, Microsoft is chomping at the bit to try to do as much as they can with everybody else that's already partnering with them.
So, Stu, you had a little rasp in the voice last night. We were out of a variety of different events going on. We actually started the night at the NetApp customer event, which was quite a kick. NetApp had over 1,000 customers. I think it was 1,200 people at AT&T Park, formerly known as Pac Bell, in San Francisco, home of the Giants, the former world champion San Francisco Giants. Great venue. It was an absolutely beautiful baseball park. And I say over 1,000 customers there. All the executives were there. They had on their baseball shirts with the NetApp logo. Of course, Pat Gelsinger was wearing a NetApp logo. It was very funny. He said two things. He was standing in the pitcher's mound and sort of addressing the audience last night. He said, two things that I never thought I'd be doing. One is standing in the pitcher's mound at AT&T Park, and the second is addressing customers at the NetApp customer event. And, he got it out there and he said, my new best friend Tom Georgian, sort of repeating what he did on the CEO panel here. It was quite a kick. Steve Herrod was there as well, and all the NetApp execs. It was a big love fest, and of course theCUBE was there covering it. We got interviews with Tom Georgians and a number of other the executives, of course Pat Gelsinger, and saw Tom Mendoza, real legend in Silicon Valley. And it was really a lot of fun, and then we ended up at the Dell event, Stu, and Michael Dell was there, looking good. Michael Dell is really on his game. He's engaged. Met a bunch of folks actually on his M&A team. They're very, very busy right now, I will tell you. You know, Dell throws off about $5 billion a year in free cash flow, and they pour that into acquisitions. They are completely transforming the company. Michael Dell is really serious. He doesn't want to see his company go the route of Digital and Prime and Wang and DG and all the companies that he killed. He's very committed, Stu, to this effort. He looks good. He was at the party, you know, all night. I mean, he was there, hanging out, talking to customers, talking to, you know, partners, really very much engaged. And I think that, you look at Dell, a $60 billion company. The market value of Dell is now under $20 billion. This is a company with about $8 billion, I believe, in cash, and they're going to use it, and they throw off that free cash flow. He is committed to transform the company, and I'm sure he's not happy about the valuation that he's getting right now. So that was, you know, and Dell is putting a big push, Stu, on the enterprise. I mean, they got a CIO conference tomorrow here, and Paul Moritz is going to be there, Pat Gelsinger is going to be there, Michael Dell is staying the whole week. We saw him up on stage, so Stu, he's getting serious about the enterprise.
You know, it's interesting, when you talk about the change of the messaging to the software-defined data center, it doesn't mean that cloud goes away. I tell you, in the evening conversations I've been having, everybody's taking a strong look at OpenStack, and you've got, you know, some questions about the stability of OpenStack, but obviously, you know, Rackspace is pushing what they've got. The public cloud providers are growing out there, and you know, we've talked to lots of customers that are looking at the service providers, like at the NetApp event. Pete Colo is a service provider for service providers, and you know, the just magnitude of VMs that they serve up through their solutions are, you know, just tremendous. So you know, the transformation of the traditional data center to services, whether that be hosting or infrastructure as a service, IT as a service, and public clouds, you know, it's made a lot of progress over the last year.
Yeah, you talk about OpenStack. I mean, we've written a lot about OpenStack not being ready for prime time in the enterprise, and you know, it's not, but there's a ton of developer activity around OpenStack. I mean, it is the, you know, the really hot area in the enterprise. I mean, initially a lot of people thought it was, and in fact it was, a Hail Mary against Amazon by Rackspace, and obviously Dell involved, and they've handed over the stewardship of that community to the community. So that was, I think, a big move that they made about 6 months ago. Important signals, Stu, for developers, and I think that you know, there's a lot of potential there. VMware just, you know, joined the movement, and so, you know, open source remains a force. Now, what did you end up doing last night?
So I stopped by a couple of the kind of social crowd environments. Stopped by, there was the vBacon, you know, tweet up there. So a lot of the networking folks there, and because, you know, if there's something that virtualization folks like love more than the discussion of, you know, vSphere, VXLAN, and you know, licensing, it's bacon. And you know, stopped at a couple of other parties. The social vibe is interesting. We said Twitter volume seems a little bit down. You know, if you think 2 years ago, kind of everybody that blogged and was on Twitter would get together and could all hang out. And of course today, with 20,000 people here, a lot of them are on Twitter, and everybody is busy. We talk about the startup environment is so frothy right now that everybody's checking out, you know, all the flash companies that are here, the startups that are in lots of different spaces here. So when you're busy in conversations and busy just, you know, trying to absorb everything that you can from the show, it's kind of tough to sit back and do Twitter. I mean, you said, Dave, my voice is a little rough because, you know, I can't shut up. You know, well, my brain is full at this point, and you know, just been phenomenal talking with, you know, just the amazing thought leaders from, you know, the executives, you know, through to, you know, some of the people behind the scenes making things work.
Well, you know, Stu, it's interesting that you say that. I mean, despite the fact that our tweeting is probably down a little bit, the world, you know, a lot of people still out there tweeting. John Furrier was showing me some data from the tool, the surveillance tool that those guys use. And it was quite interesting in the networking segment and the vertical that he spun up. Nicira is at the top of the conversation list. And this is really accelerated leading up to VMworld. It was sort of down, you know, pretty low. Obviously with the acquisition, it was high, and then sort of, you know, went back down. Obviously Cisco was up there, and Cisco was really being aggressive with messaging around the whole software-defined networking space. And Nicira is one of the hottest trending topics right
not,
now.
not surprising. So on Monday, I went to Martin Casado's discussion of Nicira, and we're going to have him on theCUBE here at 2 o'clock. It was kind of my crowning jewel for the schedule that we put together, the one that I was making sure we got, because was really impressed with him. You kind of think Stanford professor, helped define OpenStack and Open vSwitch, and he can't be a good speaker too, but VMware tends to pull in these tremendous people that can kind of do it all, like a Steve Herod, that just, great speaker, amazing technologist, and pull the whole package together. So we're going to have Martin this afternoon. You had Jay Shri on yesterday from Arista, and we've got a networking panel.
Yeah, talk about that a little bit. We got a networking panel coming up at 20 minutes past the hour here. What's going on there, Stu?
So, as we said, networking is, just such a hot discussion that I wanted to pull together a few aspects from the networking community. So I've got Howie Zhu from Big Switch. So people in the know in the networking space, I've known Howie for a long time. Howie ran the networking group inside of VMware for a while, and he went to Big Switch, kind of the initial discussion, right after VMware said we're buying Nicira, and it's, for over $1 billion, half the articles were, okay, is Big Switch next? Who's going to buy them? And what's the valuation on that? So we're going to get their take on the software-defined data center. We've got Broadcom. So Broadcom's been on theCUBE many times, and really one of those companies that while most people have heard of it and say, okay, I've got Broadcom chipsets in there. They're like Intel. They do LANs, they do switches. They have a lot of pieces. If everyone here on the networking side, the Trident Plus, and now the Trident 2 that they announced this week are the switching, merchant silicon that just goes across every environment that you have here. So Greg Shearer, who's been on theCUBE a bunch, and then and another interesting startup, Infineta, who is kind of a next generation WAN optimization solution for things like virtualization and big data. And so those are the three guys we're going to bring on, kind of give some nice independent viewpoint as to where the networking community's going, the software that makes up all these pieces, and what people need to understand for defining their networks.
Yeah, so watch for that just in a few minutes. And Stu, we were talking off camera, you were explaining to me, a really important point here is the stat that's been thrown about, it's an IDC data point, that 60% of all Intel-based server applications are virtualized. And the goal, according to Pat Gelsinger, is they want to take that to 90%. So that's a really ambitious goal. And I've used the analogy of the fall summit. They got a lot of hiking to do to get to that number. A key point is they're going to have to abstract the complexity, continue to abstract the complexity, not just for the servers, but also for the storage and the networking. And in particular, in the networking side, that is becoming a real area of focus. People, I think, are realizing what a bottleneck that is. You were explaining to me that Broadcom has technology to allow you to go across multi-hypervisor environments. We are living in a multi-hypervisor world. That's something that I know you're going to explore. We got Steve Herod coming up this morning, so really looking forward to that. He's always a great guest. Todd Nielsen's going to be on today. We got Chris Hoff coming on.
Squirrel.
Was that Squirrel? Yeah, right. And so, as Stu said, Nicira's co-founder coming on later on today. So big day today. This is SiliconANGLE.tv's continuous coverage of VMworld 2012. We're here, we want to thank VMware for this great setup. We're here in the hang space, come by and see us. And just down the escalator to the right, it's really a fantastic venue. So again, thanks to VMware for setting us up and really bringing you this production. And really appreciate all that support.
Yeah, Dave, no John Bon Jovi on theCUBE this year?
No, well, so he's going to be doing a sound test later on. We'll maybe try to drag him in and get a quick word with him. And so this is probably a good time to say, go to siliconangle.tv. That's where all the videos are. YouTube.com/siliconangle. We've got playlists on every event that we have. We've got our team watching, blogging. So go to siliconangle.com, servicesangle.com. Cloud Angle, DevOps Angle, and also go to wikibon.org for all the research. You got questions, hopefully we got answers, so keep it right there. We'll be right back with the networking panel live from VMworld 2012.